Hey, yo, Foxboro. I forgot to add myself to the stream, and I'm actually starting about 10 minutes early today because I was ready early and I just didn't feel like sitting here anymore. So I don't know if anyone's here, but thanks for joining me today, guys. I usually do go lives on Monday, but today is Tuesday. Yesterday, I think I just lost track of time and I just didn't realize that it was like a half hour until I was supposed to be live. So I had to switch it to today. So here I am, and we are going to go over the Patriots at Browns game, of course. Lots to talk about, lots of good stuff to talk about, thankfully. And I'm just going to jump in right now because when I was writing my notes, I actually had quite a bit to say. So I also want to say one thing. You know that I drink water. I always have a cup with me during my streams, and this week I totally forgot to run downstairs and get myself a cup, so I have to use my John Cena my John Cena SummerSlam cup. I don't even know what year this is from. I would have to look up the logo, I think, for SummerSlam, see what year that is. I want to say it's probably like, 2010 maybe? I don't know. So if you see my cup and you see John Cena, don't worry about it. It's just, it's usually sitting behind me. Actually, right there in front of the Fruity Pebbles box. So I had to use it today. But anyway, let's get back to the Patriots. And I want to talk about the best of the offense. I had to split my article into two parts this week because the Patriots defense and the offense performed so well in this game that it didn't make sense for me to put it all in one. Because if you read my weekly articles with musket fire, then you will see that I generally try to give as many props as I possibly can. And, shoving all of that into one, sometimes it's just going to be way too long of an article. So getting into the best on offense, gotta talk about Taekwon Thornton. We got to see what Bill Belichick drafted, and it was so nice to see that in just the second game of his career. So he ended the game 4 of 5 receptions for 37 yards and a touchdown. He also had 3 carries for 16 yards and a touchdown. So we saw a lot more of Thornton, and I'm wondering if that's going to be the pattern of the next, the rest of the season, I guess, because Nelson Aguilar was out. So I'm sure that was part of the reason why we saw a lot of Thornton. But, there's rumors again coming up since the trade deadline is up in a couple weeks about Aguilar being traded. So, I mean, I don't know that that's going to happen. I guess that they don't necessarily need him now that they have Thornton, but I hate when I see like players traded that I like, and I like Aguilar. A lot of people don't necessarily like him, but I do. So we'll have to keep an eye on that and see what happens there. So Thornton definitely came out ready to go in the second half. I feel like the first half was kind of like, it wasn't bad, but it was definitely not as nice as the second half. So they had the first drive after halftime, they marched down the field in 7 plays for 75 yards, and Zappe threw a short pass to Thornton for a 2-yard touchdown, making it his first touchdown of the season, but also of his NFL career. So shout out to Thornton. That was awesome. And it actually made history with that connection there, with Bailey Zappe being a rookie and Taekwon Thornton being a rookie. Their touchdown was the first time the Patriots have had a rookie-to-rookie touchdown since the season finale of the 1993 season, when Drew Bledsoe threw an 11-yard touchdown to wide receiver Vincent Brisby in the third quarter versus Miami on January 2nd, 1994. So the Patriots just keep breaking history, or at least Patriots history. And so I thought that was pretty cool. And then following the Browns muffed punt, which was recovered by Brendan Schooler. Shout out to Brendan Schooler. I forgot him in my notes, but he's a guy that I was really nervous about because of Belichick not re-signing Justin Bethel, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, how do you get rid of Justin Bethel? He's such a good piece on special teams. Like, you're really keeping an undrafted free agent in his place, and he was kind of a guy that we didn't hear a lot about in the summer, so I was really nervous. But he's played great and keeps coming up with these big moments like this. And so this was just awesome. And I'm really excited to see how he does the rest of the season. I don't know how Bethel's doing down in Miami, but thankfully Schooler is not making us regret them choosing him over Bethel. So after he recovered the muff punt, the Patriots took it over on Cleveland's 19-yard line, and Bailey Zappi handed it off to Thornton from the back, and he ran it in for his second touchdown of the day, which made him the first rookie Patriots receiver with a rushing and receiving touchdown in the same game since Irving Fryer in 1985. So that is, a more cool history for the Patriots and cool history for the rookies to be making. So I feel like, I think that's kind of what makes these kinds of moments cooler, is just seeing a rookie quarterback doing so well with another rookie receiver. I just feel it's just an added element that's making the last few games, the wins especially, be a little bit more exciting to watch, I guess. And so speaking of the rookie quarterback, let's get into Bailey Zappi. He's continuing to impress. He ended the day 24 of 34 for 309 yards and 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, which was amazing. He became only the third rookie quarterback in the Super Bowl era to record a passer rating of 100 or higher in each of his first 2 career starts, joining Pro Football Hall of Famer Dan Marino from 1983 and Andy Dalton in 2011. I don't know why, but Andy Dalton being a rookie in 2011 kind of shocked me. I feel like he's been around so much longer. It's a little bit crazy that it's only been like 11, 12 years. Anyway, so Zappi was named a starter basically right before halftime. They were kind of playing around with that all week long up until basically they had to say who was playing, because Mac did make the trip to Cleveland and he was on the sideline for the entirety of the game, which I thought was really nice. I'm glad that he was healthy enough that he could do that. And I kind of feel like they weren't planning on going with him. It was more so of just I don't know, something maybe to throw Cleveland off, or having Mac there for Zappi I think is pretty cool. So I'm not sure that they ever had the intention of actually having him play, but we shall see how next week goes. So the first half, like I said, wasn't the best overall. The defense came out hot, but the offense, it was just kind of, they did their job and they led at halftime. That was fine. So after they came out for the third quarter, Zappi led the offense on 5 scoring offensive drives. I included 5 because even though Nick Folk missed the field goal, I feel like it still counts because he still led them down to be in field goal range. He spread the ball around, which was really cool to see also. There were 7 receivers who were involved in this game and 4 running backs, and he helped the Patriots has helped the Patriots outscore opponents over the last 2 weeks 67-15. That's amazing. And he's been a great leader in Mac's absence, performing, I think, a lot better than most people anticipated. I mean, if you watched his last season in college, then you know that he's more than capable of being a great quarterback and has an arm and can throw the ball. So I don't think that that's surprising. I think that because he was a 4th rounder and was presumed to just be a backup, the fact that he's performing as well as he is, I think is what's kind of surprising. So that, of course, has led to a lot of people trying to stir up a quarterback controversy. And that, honestly, is a little bit confusing to me because I kind of feel like Patriots fans, it's not even just the media. So the Boston media is going to do this every week. We see it. And it's not even just Boston media. I mean, there's other people, but especially Ben Volen right now is trying to put out that there's some sort of internal issue with Mac Jones, and that he came into this season with some sort of arrogance about him or something, which I don't believe that for a single second. And then you have Albert Breer saying something similar, that Mac is feeling threatened and whatever. I don't know. There's just a bunch of crazy reports coming out today, and I don't believe it for a second. You haven't heard any of the teammates or the coaches say anything negative about Mac. I mean, if anything, they hype him up. Maybe to a certain extent too much. And all we heard throughout the summer and the preseason was how Mac was training and he was setting up throwing sessions in, California or Florida, wherever they were, that he was working out. He was taking his nutrition seriously. He was working with all sorts of different coaches and whatnot. So I don't think that he came in that way at all. I think in a lot of ways he has a very similar mindset to the way that Tom Brady does, that he kind of feels like he's never satisfied. Like, even though they went to the playoffs last year, they won 10 games and he brought them back after they missed the year before. I don't think that was like successful for Mac. Like, I feel like it was at first, but then how the season ended is going to be like a huge blow to anybody's ego. So I don't believe that at all. I also don't think that there's a quarterback controversy, and it feels like Patriots fans are wanting there to be a controversy, which I kind of don't understand. Let me see. There was a tweet that I put up, or I retweeted this morning, that basically summed it up perfectly. Okay, it's Derek Havens, who he used to write for PatsFans.com. And he wrote, "I don't really understand how we went from rookie backup Bailey Zappi steps in and exceeded expectations to Mac Jones sucks and he shouldn't be the starter anymore. It's been a weird few weeks." And then he followed up saying, "Zappi's been solid. His last game versus the Browns was really good and far superior to his time versus Green Bay and Detroit. Mac Jones is a better player. Jones needs to clean up the turnovers, but the offense around the quarterback has stepped up in the last few weeks. Jones will be better when he returns." So, I mean, that's along the same mindset that I have. I mean, I'm thankful for what Zappi has done, and the offense has definitely looked better in the last few weeks, but I just don't know that we should be writing off Matt completely. I mean, I think that he should have been taking the time off that he has. He's had 3 games off, and I think that had he rushed back and looked worse, then people would be more inclined to believe there was possibly a quarterback controversy. But the first few weeks are historically not great for the Patriots, even when they had Tom Brady. And if you want to say they had a better offense at some point, that's what it is. But yeah, I'm just kind of disappointed to see the amount of people wanting there to be drama. I feel like the Boston media spreads enough of that we don't need our own fan base to be doing the same. So let's see. Chris says it's just writing for clicks. I agree. And he says, "How can there be any issues for Mac? He has new coaches. The O-line had issues in the start of the season, and he was trying to learn a new offensive scheme." And that's what I've said too. I think that also the thing that people are not considering is the way that Matt Patricia has changed the offense between the quarterbacks. So, they were trying to implement some new offense with Mac, and then when he went down, they had Brian Hoyer come in, and it seemed like they were kind of going back to the old typical Patriots offense with Brian Hoyer. And then when he went down, it looked like they then started to bring in some other new stuff for Zappi. And so, and then it kind of seems like they're reverting back to a little bit more in the last game or two, reverting back a little bit to what they were trying to do with Hoyer, what they were doing last year, which is something that was never broken and should have never been changed anyway. I mean, I understand the desire to change things because you had Josh McDaniels leave, and so now you have a new guy, writing the playbook and whatever. But if it's not broke, don't fix it. And there was nothing wrong with what they were doing. So I think that the offense has looked a lot better. The offensive line has, besides Isaiah Wynn for the most part, has been amazing. So there's really no reason for Mac to come in and have a drastic decline from what we've been seeing from Zappi. So, I mean, I could spend probably an entire hour of the stream talking about this, and I'll save you guys the time. But I'm not into the idea of this happening right now. So, shout out to Bailey Zappi. If that was his last start of the season, then he did a phenomenal job, definitely leading them the way down the path leading up to the bye week to keep them in contention and get them back to above 500. So, I mean, he did a fantastic job and has a bright future if it is just as a backup, or, you know, God forbid something happened to Mac Jones, then we know that they have a great guy waiting in the wings. I also want to move on to talk about the Boston Tea Party is back. Finally get to see this. I just wrote about Hunter Henry, so if you guys want to read that, please check it out on my Twitter, or you can go to musketfire.com. He spoke to the media yesterday and kind of gave a little bit of insight about why he's had such a slow start to the 2022 season. So if you want to see all the quotes and details regarding that, then please check that out. But I want to talk about Jonnu Smith first. Both of them had great days, but Jonnu Smith, I mean, I feel like he doesn't get enough love because, you know, Hunter Henry's doing a lot. But shout out to Jonnu Smith too. He was 2 of 2 for 61 yards with one great run of 53 yards. So obviously it was great to see them both involved in this game. And Smith seems to be fine. From what they were reporting was an ankle sprain. I'm not seeing that anymore. So that is really awesome. He didn't have any catches in the first half, but he did get his first look on the first drive of the third quarter, which was his 53-yard run, which I believe was his longest of his Patriots tenure so far. And I think it was only his fourth run of 50-plus yards in his career. So that was pretty cool to see. And that was a great drive, or a great run. If you guys haven't seen it, you should check it out. Try and find it on Twitter, because he broke multiple tackles, which is something that he wasn't great at last season. So it was really cool to see that. And he set up the offense for the second touchdown of the day. He only had one more reception after that for 8 yards, but still, you know, 61 yards and putting them in a position to score was awesome. Hunter Henry had similar stats also. He's 4 of 7 for 61 yards and a touchdown. We're finally seeing him involved more in the last 2 weeks, especially. And like I said, now that we see that he's kind of, I mean, not really recovering, but kind of recovering still from having shoulder surgery in the preseason, it kind of is giving context to why he might have started off pretty slow this year. And I feel like I wrote it also in my article that I said it felt kind of like it gave Patriots fans a big sigh of relief that there was at least some sort of reason for his slow start, because I think, at least I can say for me, it was a little bit worrisome, because his season has started out so different than how it was in the first 6 games last year. And it was kind of like, okay, what's going on? Like, other than the fact that he wasn't being involved a lot in the game planning, obviously, it just, you know, it just was, something was off. He wasn't being involved, and it was like, okay, well, why? Or like, he wasn't making catches. And so it was like, okay, what's going on? So the fact that he was dealing with a shoulder issue is kind of just relieving, and we're finally seeing him feel more comfortable. He also talked about how he's been working on strength overall and working on getting better at blocking, which has been a huge improvement. Even Belichick commented on it. I have that quote in the Musket Fire article as well. But his big moment of the day was when he was left wide open because his defender fell, lost his footing, and left Henry wide open for a 31-yard touchdown. So clear path to the end zone, which is a terrible idea when you do that for a guy like Hunter Henry, but obviously amazing for the Patriots. So hopefully this is an indication of what the two can do for the remainder of the season. I'd really like to see them more involved even when Mac comes back, because we didn't see that really at all when he was playing. So hopefully it's not just something that they've been trying to do because of Zappy. I'd really like to see them both involved again, and Henry in the red zone especially. That's something that they've struggled with in general. Their efficiency in the red zone has not been good this season, and I think that they need to be turning to Henry. They need to stop trying to run it on every play once they get to the red zone. It's just like, obviously it's not working, so please change it up. So honorable mentions, because like I said, I like to try and include as many people as I possibly can, try to give kudos to everybody that I think deserves them. Devonte Parker, he had a pretty good day as well. 4 catches for 64 yards. He had a long of 29. He was a complete monster on the field. He had some really, really great catches, and some, I mean, he was on full display with why Belichick made the trade. I think, what did somebody call it? It was like not a 50-50 ball, but it was like an 80-20 ball or something, because at that one point, I think it was his first catch, he basically was horizontal at one point, like a diving catch for 29 yards on 3rd and 9, and he was just like horizontal in the air. It was just crazy. So he did a great job. He also managed to not get any DPIs, which DPIs is fine, but that's fine. He made the catches and also no interceptions. I think that's the biggest positive out of all of it, because we know how bad that has been this season. So that was nice to see. And then of course we have Jacoby Myers, Mr. Reliable. There's not a whole lot that I can say. He was perfect on the day, 4 of 4 for 60 yards. Just continuing on his Mr. Reliable, his season. It's just who Jacoby Myers is. I'm so thankful that the Patriots have him, and I really hope that they retain him when he becomes a free agent, because I don't know how you replace that. He's been a huge asset in the last 2 weeks since he's returned. And then of course there is Ramondre Stevenson, who was playing all by his lonesome, basically, as RB1 with Damien Harris continuing out. Of course, Kevin Harrison and Pierre Strong Jr. were also there, and they did get some snaps in and some carries, which was cool to see. Stevenson had 19 carries for 76 yards and 2 touchdowns, and he was also involved in the passing game with 4 catches for 15 yards. He had a 31-yard rushing touchdown to put the Patriots in the lead at halftime, which marked the first time that the Patriots have had a rushing touchdown under Bill Belichick on 3rd and 10 or longer. So another Patriots record being broken. And then he also put the stamp on the game basically with a 6-yard run for a touchdown in the 4th quarter. And, just doing Ramondre Stevenson things. Thank goodness that they have him, because if they didn't with Damien Harris out, I would be a little bit worried about the status of the run game, because we haven't seen a whole lot yet from Pierre Strong Jr. or Kevin Harris. But, so that was great for Ramondre Stevenson. And I want to get into the defense as well, because, oh my goodness, the defense is just on a roll. And hopefully they can keep that on track going into Monday Night Football against the Chicago Bears. But first, let's talk about Kyle Duggar coming out and setting the tone for the defense right away. I need a drink of water. Hold on one second. Okay, and actually, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's get back to the best of the defense, because I skipped over all of my good stuff. So the defense held the Browns to only 70 rushing yards after they were averaging 192.4 per game, which is absolutely insane. Nick Chubb only had 12 carries for 56 yards, averaging 4.7 yards per carry. And he was kept out of the end zone. So coming into this game, he had 3 straight games of 100+ yards and was averaging 6.1 yards per carry. So that is a huge improvement for the Patriots run game, which has been a struggle, for the past couple of years, but especially this season. The fact that they were able to contain the 2-headed monster that is Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt is awesome. That is a career low for him, I believe, this season. So shout out to the run game. They also have kept opponents' running backs out of the end zone through the first 6 games, which is crazy. It's the longest streak the defense has not allowed a running back to score in in the first 6 games. Their record is for 8 games in 2019. So it's been a while, but they could definitely, I think that they could definitely do it. It'll be really cool to see if they can. And with technically 2 4th down stops, but only 1 counts for this, their first stop on 4th down became their 7th straight 4th down stop over the last 2 games, which was a record. And they also forced 4 turnovers, which the Patriots scored 24 points off of them. So they won the turnover battle, and they are just continuing to dominate on 4th down. So, it's just very exciting to see how well the defense is doing and how they're maintaining to keep, to continue being this way in each and every week. it's really cool, and I'm hoping, they're going to have another tricky test on Monday, even if the Bears are not necessarily performing super great. Justin Fields is another mobile quarterback with which they've struggled against. So hopefully they can keep that going and, slow him down, because then I think it makes you a little bit more comfortable going into other games, like Josh Allen, they have to play, and else is on I don't even know what other mobile quarterbacks are going to have to end up playing. I mean, Josh Allen is not the same, but you know what I'm saying. So getting back to Kyle Duggar, like I said, he started off setting the tone for the defense, which was really cool to see. He had a big interception on only the second play of the game for the Browns. He was all over David Njoku for most of the game, and he only allowed one reception on, I think it was, was it 4 targets or something like that? It was only one reception for 33 yards with Njoku. That was just a messy play overall. I think it was Duggar just tracked the ball too early and looked behind him too early, and that just set him off, which made him fall behind Njoku. But he was all over the field, shutting down the receivers, whoever he was matched up with. Even got involved at the line of scrimmage, which you can see him dominating Kareem Hunt on the line. Even got him to the ground on one play. He had a team high of 8 tackles and 2 passes defended. So basically just another random day for Kyle Duggar, because he, is just doing so well. And it's really cool to see a guy that I was really excited about coming out of college performing as well as he is. So shout out to Kyle Duggar. Let me check on the comments because I don't know what you guys are saying. I will be getting to the penalties, Chris, in the worst of the day. And yes, I was also very impressed with the stop to the Browns. Yes. And yes. Okay. So let's move on to Dietrich Wise. I love Dietrich Wise. I am very excited about how great he is doing. And I wrote about him in the article, and I felt like ever since he was named captain this year, I feel like it just kind of like awoke his like inner monster or something, because I mean, this guy is playing out of his mind this season. And I don't know how everyone was really feeling about him prior to the 2022 season, but I mean, I don't know how you can have anything negative to say about him. He's been consistently a threat to opposing quarterbacks. He's basically become a number 2 to Judon, which is huge because, Judon was basically the main focal point of the defense, or the pass rush specifically, last season, and that fell off a lot at the end because, I mean, for the most part, it was just Judon. There wasn't a lot of other guys that were stepping up and, that could be put in his place or perform as well as he is. And at this point, it's looking like Wise this season, which is really cool. In this game, he led the team with 7 quarterback pressures. He had a sack, a quarterback hit, and 5 hurries, and he now has 5 sacks on the season, which ties his career high, which was his rookie season. And so far, he's going to smash his rookie season numbers. Like, this is going to be his best year ever, his best year of his career. And I'm wondering, what is his contract status? I need to see, because let's see. I'm like, when does he become a free agent? Okay, not until 2025. Thank goodness. All right, because it always makes me nervous when they start performing really well, that maybe they're like on route to being out or something. Okay, so yeah, so he signed through 2023 and 2024. That is good. I am relieved. That made me nervous for a hot second. And yeah, so I think it's going to be interesting to see how he does for the rest of the year. I think his performance is taking a lot off of the shoulders of Judon, like I said. And so, it's nice to see that, because I don't know that a lot of people were thinking that Wise was going to end up being that guy. But like I said, I really think it's like, I don't know if it is what it is, but it really does feel like being named captain really changed everything. So, I mean, I think it's cool, and I can't wait to see how he plays the rest of the season, because I really like him. He seems like a really great guy in the locker room as well. And yeah, I am very interested to see the rest. Then we also have Jalen Mills. He came up with the second interception of the day. I feel like he kind of had an under the radar performance, which is a little bit shocking considering Jonathan Jones did not play. And Jalen was taking a lot of those snaps and who he was covering, basically. But he played really well. And I think it's just because people are so amazed, of course, by Jack Jones and whoever else on the defense is kind of stealing the show, that people are not really giving a lot of credit to Jalen. But I am always here to give credit to Jalen Mills because that's just the type of person that I am. So he got the second interception of the day halfway through the third quarter. And on the play, it seemed like there was like miscommunication between Jacoby Brissett and David Njoku, because Njoku was like not in the right place. And so that gave Mills, he was right behind Njoku the whole way and was tracking the football perfectly. So he moved into position fairly quickly and grabbed that interception, returned it for 15 yards, brought it back to the Cleveland 40-yard line and set up another scoring drive. So, covering Njoku is not an easy feat. A lot of people maybe do not realize how good of a season Njoku was having. He got paid and then he's just performing really well, becoming more of an all-around tight end. So Mills did a great job on that play. And he did really well in coverage. Amari Cooper, for the most part, was shut down in this game, which I said on Friday in the game preview that was going to have to be something that they were going to focus on, because Amari Cooper is a huge threat, and they shut him down. I'm amazed because I wasn't sure that they were going to be able to do that with Cooper and Njoku and the run game. I did not see that happening at all. I felt like it was going to have to be one or the other. They were going to, have to let one of these guys be successful, and it just happened that none of them were. So he only allowed one reception to Cooper out of 4 targets for 13 yards. He went 1 of 6 on the day. He had a questionable DPI call that I don't really fault him for. I think it was just one of those like fluky, weird calls that the referees felt like they had to make. I don't know. It was just a very weird thing. And actually, his entire season, he's doing a lot better than I think people give him credit for. He's only allowed 10 receptions on the season. So, he may not be that CB1 that people wanted, but he's performing really well. He's performing, at least so far, as a top cornerback. And he might not be officially the starting guy. Jonathan Jones is probably that guy. But, he's performing really well over these last few weeks. And I think that despite, the uptick in the rookies like Marcus Jones and Jack Jones, then Jalen Mills deserves his flowers too. So, also Carl Davis, shout out to Carl Davis. I don't know if you guys catch my pun, but he feasted on some Jacoby Brissett, which was, on my defensive piece that I put out, I used that picture of his celebration as my featured photo, because that was just, I always love seeing the big guys get, an interception or a fumble return. I think it's just one of my favorite things. Oh my gosh, my cat, can you see her behind me? Yes, you guys can. Do you see her just like laying there with one arm extended? What is that? All right. Anyway. So, although Carl Davis was not the biggest contributor to the game overall, of course, he gave us that amazing moment like I was just talking about. So Judon brought the pressure to Brissett, which forced him to make an early throw. Not a good throw either. Wise batted it down, and Carl Davis was able to recover the fumble and returned it for 17 yards, which then led to us seeing the amazing celebration. And basically that was the sealing of the win for the Patriots, because they went on to score again. So, he might not have been. Yeah. See, Chris, do you what is going on? Why are cats so weird? That's just what I want to know. Why are cats so weird? She does this all the time too. My other cat used to do that too. Just lay there with just one arm extended. I don't know why, but I guess it's a cat thing. I don't know. So anyway, I think that's going to be a highlight of the season. Hopefully the rest of the season goes, amazingly, so that it can be a highlight. But I always love celebrations like that. And, and then the rest of the team coming in and participating with him. I thought that was really cool, including Jack Jones. If you guys haven't seen the video, Jack Jones gets in on the celebration as well. So that was awesome to see. And then, of course, the pass rush. We got to give a shout out to the pass rush. specifically Matthew Judon and Devon Gotcha. So the defense allowed Brissett to complete only 46% of his passes. They took him down 8 times and brought the pressure on 34.7% of his dropbacks, which forced incompletions and throwaways. I mean, I know that Jacoby Brissett is not people's favorite quarterback, and I'm not saying that he's Aaron Rodgers, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, but I mean, you know, he has experience with the Patriots and he's been performing well. I mean, in spite of the circumstances that he's under. So, but you know, the Patriots defense is bringing the heat this season. So I don't know that he really stood a fair chance. Judon was credited with a hit and 3 hurries, no sack, but that's fine. I mean, I think that he was performing well despite it. I mean, he set up a lot of good plays. He opened up the door for other guys to get sacks and whatnot. So I think he has 6 sacks on this, or 5 sacks on the season so far. So, you know, it is what it is. He is also responsible for the stop on 4th down, which I said earlier. He made it the 7th straight stop over the last 2 games. And Gotcha was credited with a sack, which is the first one for him this season. And he pressured Brissett twice and got a tackle for a loss. So a lot. I mean, those are just the main 2 that I, you know, decided to speak about. There was a whole lot of good stuff coming out of this game on defense as a whole, but you know, those 2 for sure stood out in my mind. But there were some also honorable mentions on defense, which I'm going to get to. Mac Wilson and Anthony Jennings both were credited with half a sack each, which was Mac Wilson's first of his Patriots time, and then Anthony Jennings, I believe it was the first of his career. And they who got, so one of them, I think, must have been Jennings. Both, they were credited with half a sack on the same sack. What am I talking about? So that was a sack that forced 4th down in a punt, and Jennings was also credited with a hit and a hurry. I've spoken about him a little bit, but Jack Jones also deserves some credit. He only gave up 1 catch for 12 yards on 4 targets, which was to Donovan Peoples-Jones. After that completion to Peoples-Jones, he defended 3 straight incompletions, and 2 of them were to Cooper. 1 was to, I believe, Michael Woods, and he was credited with a pass breakup on the incompletion to Amari Cooper. So Jack Jones, I mean, I don't know what else you can say about him. He looks like a guy that's been on the team for years, coached by Belichick. It's crazy to me still that the league somehow allowed Belichick to take him. Like, I know that people want to say that Belichick just has a great eye for cornerbacks, specifically in the draft or even undrafted, because he's done so well, and that's very true. But I mean, I think the only reason for the most part Jack Jones fell to, what was it, the 5th round? I think it was 5th round, was because of the behavioral issue that he had in college, the one incident. So, you know, I think that there are some teams that are going to be kicking themselves for not taking him and letting the Patriots take him. And then this might come as a surprise, but we got to give credit also to Jelani Tavai, you know, Matt Patricia's guy that a lot of people were coming for at the beginning of the season and felt like he didn't deserve to be on the field, but he is actually having an under the radar type of performance this season. He came up big in the 4th quarter on the 2-point conversion attempt. He applied the pressure to Brissett, forced the throw out early, and took Brissett to the ground, which resulted in an incomplete pass and obviously a fail at the 2-point conversion. So make sure you guys pay attention to some of these other people that, you know, maybe aren't getting as talked about as much as others, but there are some guys like that are doing really well, and they deserve to, you know, get their applause too. It's not all just about the big fancy ones, you know what I mean? So shout out to Vi. Chris says, let's see, Cole Strange once again proving Sean McVay wrong with his reaction. Yes, he's I found, what was it, did I retweet it? Oh my gosh, I just had like a brain fart. I don't know if I retweeted it. I might not have. I might have just liked it. Okay, let me see, because someone posted some great stats about Cole Strange so far. Here we go. So this is Brett Coleman of, I guess he just, I don't know, just has a YouTube channel. I don't know. Anyway, he said Cole Strange has only allowed 2 total pressures in his last 3 games, has allowed only 8 total pressures this season, and has no penalties. He said, for reference, Joe Thuney and Shaq Mason have allowed 8 and 6 pressures themselves, respectively, and the Patriot offensive line legacy lives on after all. So huge. I mean, I understand that people are, wanting to fault the Patriots for taking a guard in the first round, but I think there are teams that would be dying to have the type of offensive lineman that they have in Cole Strange. Let's look at like Matt Stafford. They're having so many offensive line issues, then they would wish to have Cole Strange there. And Ray is talking about Strange as well. How about Strange? I'm sure he shocked some of the naysayers being a first round pick. Yeah, and that's what's making the whole situation funny is, you got to do what you got to do. And I don't know if maybe he shouldn't have been picked first. I don't know. But I'm fine with it because the Patriots have had some rough patches with the offensive line over the last couple seasons, and it's a very important part of the offense. And so teams that just continuously ignore it, it's like then you deal with the consequences because your quarterback can't stay on the upright. You know what I mean? So, and Ray asks, how old is the Fruity Pebbles box on what I'm guessing is your collectible shelf? So yes, so a friend of mine that I'm no longer friends with, but it's a John Cena Fruity Pebbles box, and it's signed by John Cena. So I want to say it's at least 10 or 11 years old. Hasn't been opened, so I don't know what's going on with the cereal on the inside, but I'm not going to open it. So yes, it is very much one of my prized possessions. I do have I have a few things signed by John Cena. Like I have one of his shirts, but I do not have that framed yet. So maybe eventually you guys can see that. I don't know. Maybe if I do another wrestling stream, I can show you some of the autographs and whatnot that I have if anybody is interested. So let's get into the not so good parts of the game pretty quickly because I don't want to put a I don't want to damper the mood because this was a really great game. So obviously penalties, I saw Chris talk about this in the chat already. Penalties continue to be an issue. They had 12 total penalties for 92 yards in this game, 8 which was in the first half, 8 or 9 was in the first half, which were almost all on offense, and that was a season high. Isaiah Wynn came in with another false start. Trent Brown also had 2 penalties and an encroachment call on Carl Davis, which was his second penalty on the season that resulted in a first down. So again, just I saw that video that I think it was it was the celebration in the locker room after the game. Belichick made sure to point it out that they need to clean that up. So hopefully that's going to become more of an emphasis because it didn't dramatically alter the result of this game, but we've seen that it has in other games that they have lost or even came close to possibly not winning. So they definitely need to get that figured out. And with Isaiah Wynn, he continues to struggle, and in this game I do not fault him too much. They had him matched up with Myles Garrett, and so I'm at one point at least I think that the Browns realized that they had a weaker spot on the right side. So I don't fault him for that, but he did allow the strip sack from Myles Garrett. But it's Myles Garrett. Like, people are going to lose to Myles Garrett constantly. So I'm not going to really harp on Isaiah Wynn for that too much because it could have happened to anybody on any team. Another bad thing is injuries are piling up. So we saw Barmore go down with a knee injury and he did not return. Kendrick Bourne went out pretty early with a toe injury, which they're reporting to be possibly a turf toe. So we'll have to monitor that. And then Cody Davis went down with an injury also. And it seems like it could possibly be serious just given he didn't return to the game. And the way that Matthew Slater was talking about him post game, or I think it was, or maybe with the media availability yesterday, I don't remember. It wasn't seeming like it was a positive thing. Like, it seemed like it might be a pretty bad injury, which is a huge loss for the special teams because he's the leading tackler. So definitely going to have to monitor that and see Oh, okay. So Jeff says that Aaron Wilson is reporting that Cody Davis went to IR. So yeah. So I mean, hopefully that's an indication that he at least can come back this year. But yeah, the injuries piling up is definitely not good. Not sure about the severity of Barmore or for Bourne, but yeah, hopefully nothing is too bad. Also, last but not least, the commentary jinx on Nick Folk. I was so mad when this happened in the game. I just knew that the second they talked about Nick Folk being on a streak, that it was just going to end. So he was on a streak of 64 made field goals under 50. And this was a missed 45-yard field goal in the fourth quarter. And because the commentary team decided to talk about it, of course, his streak ended. So it was his first missed field goal since the season opener versus Miami in 2020. So, you know, I'm not going to shout out those commentators because I am very upset with them. And I don't appreciate the fact that they did that because, yeah, I just thought that was just not nice. And, you know, it's fine. Okay, yeah. So everyone is saying that Cody Davis is on injured reserve. So that really sucks. Ron94 says, heard people saying, people calling about Kendrick Bourne and Nelson Aguilar. Yeah, I mean, I don't really see. I mean, if I had to choose, and I'm not saying this is who I'd want, if I had to decide who was going to possibly be traded, I would say it would be more so of Nelson Aguilar, just because if they feel like they don't need him as much because now they have Thornton or because of Devonte Parker. But Kendrick Bourne doesn't make any sense. First of all, if he's injured, then I don't know why anyone would pick him up. And I don't believe at all that he is sitting there trying, like, that's just another dramatic story that they're trying to put out there that he's unhappy and has been wanting out. I don't believe that for a second. But he's also on a team-friendly contract, so it wouldn't make any sense anyway for them to be, like, trying to move him on. I don't know. And, yeah, so if anything, I would say Aguilar is probably would be the guy to be traded, but I don't really want to see either of it happen, honestly. I want to see what happens with Mac when he comes back and who he seems to click with and work well with. I would hate to see them move somebody that would work really well with him. So, and he says, let Nelson walk, Thornton play more. I feel like that's probably what's going to happen. I don't know that they'll have Aguilar traded, but we'll see. I know that he's also not in the most favorable of contracts. So I don't know how many people would actually be trying to get him. So we shall see. But I will be back on Friday, even though it is a Monday night game. I will be back on Friday because I think it just avoids the most possibilities of, you know, I don't want to be here on Saturday if you guys are watching college football, and then Sunday I don't want to be here because that's regular football. And then I also, you know, the Celtics start today. The Celtics have their season opener today, and now I got to start paying attention to their season because I don't know. I don't know when they're playing, and I want to make sure that I'm not on live as much as possible when they're playing because I know you guys are probably going to want to watch and I want to watch. So definitely have to figure that out. Hopefully we can keep the same schedule, but I will be here to talk about the Bears at the Patriots for the Monday Night Football game on Friday at 5 p.m. And hopefully you guys will be here or on the E2G channel. Just make sure you check my Twitter, subscribe to my YouTube, whatever you got to do to keep updated with what I am doing. I appreciate you guys, Ray, Chris, Jeff, Ron94, all of you guys who have been commenting with me in the live chat today. Thank you so much. And I will see you guys on Friday. Have a great day and go Pats. Bye, guys.